1 month on the job, and interim Seattle Police Chief Sue Rahr says she's working to change culture at SPD, but she faces a number of big challenges, and that includes new allegations exposed by the King 5 investigators that found a deputy chief and an assistant chief are under criminal investigation related to alleged crimes against women. Neither has been charged with a crime, but both are still on the job while the investigations are underway by outside agencies.
One had been on administrative leave for a week, but Chief Rahr reinstated him on her first day on the job. Multiple experts tell us that that is not in line with best practices. She defended that decision to King 5 investigator Kristen Goodwillie.
I reviewed the facts available to me, and based on my judgment and experience, I made the decision that it was appropriate to bring him back to work.
Mimi and I had a chance to sit down with Rahr to see how things are going now 1 month in.
We held her accountable on her promises to build trust in the department, change SPD culture, and address violence near Garfield High School after the recent shooting death of a student. Where is the department at in its investigation of finding the shooter?
They definitely have a person that they're very interested in. We have to be very careful. Number one, we don't want to fan the flames of vigilante justice, obviously, but we have to do our jobs, and we can't just take pieces of information off of social media. We've got a ton of people literally working around the clock. I'm very satisfied that we are going to arrest the perpetrator. We are going to give the family justice.
Was this gang related?
I'm not going to talk about any of the details of the case at all, because I don't want to make it more difficult for the investigators to put their case together.
Do you think extra police officers on campus will help in reducing gun violence or the reduction of kids bringing guns to school?
I've reached out to the superintendent of Seattle Public Schools to say, can we sit down together, hit the reset button, and let's talk about what makes sense in terms of police and schools. My experience with the School Resource Officer program is the officers are not there to be disciplinarians. They're not there for law enforcement. They're there to get to know the students and staff and understand what's going on in the environment. I also don't think we should have cops patrolling schools either. I think that is a mistake. I think we have to find the rational middle ground.
The Office of Police Accountability is investigating the recent beating of a man at a bus stop involving your Seattle police officers.
Right.
What about the internal culture in terms of use of force? Are you satisfied?
Well, I don't know enough yet, but I certainly believe, looking into it, that the level and the frequency of using force has dropped dramatically in the last 10 years. I think the consent decree, as unpopular as it has been, has had the intended effect. I think officers are much more judicious about when and where to use force.
In your time, you have 6 months in this role. How do you go about starting to change culture?
I want to get people focused back on the job, less on, you talked about, there's a lot of drama going on right now. And part of that is due to a lack of clear communication about why different actions have been taken. I am moving some people out of centralized headquarters out into the field. We're looking at shifting staffing around. So taking those steps will telegraph patrol is the core of what we do. We're going to shift our resources there. We're going to explain why we're doing things so people aren't filling in the blanks. So it'll be a series of steps. My hope is to lay the groundwork for my successor to come in and be ready to take the department to the next level.
The mayor said you've made it abundantly clear that you don't want this job permanently.
100%, absolutely.
You're doubling down on that here now.
Absolutely.
I'm curious, who do you think should get the job?
I don't know yet. I know between Kathy O'Toole, previous Seattle chief, she and I have a lot of contacts around the country. And we are going to be making personal contact with people that seem like a good fit.
And we pushed her on whether the next chief should come from inside the department or from another department at somewhere else in the country. She and the mayor both seem to be pushing toward a candidate outside of SPD to be the new permanent
Yeah,
chief.
she said she's not going to not look at somebody internally, but it definitely sounded like she was moving in that direction. We also want to mention that the SROs, the topic of school resource officers, is very controversial. A lot of people have pretty strong opinions about that. We do know from Seattle Public Schools, we reached out to them, they say and confirm that they are working with SPD on possibly trying to come up with at least a way to have a conversation that includes students as well. So it'd be the district, police, and students to have this conversation about what that looks like, how that would work in schools.
It's been since 2020. It'd be a big change after these years.